agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, May 4th, 2023, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 427. Tim's running a little bit late today, so Bruce and I will entertain you until he arrives. I don't have an interview this week, Bruce, but I'm sure one of you guys will raise your hand and agree to give us a win. You usually do. In the meantime, Bruce, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, welcome everyone. We are in for a good show today, even though Jim and I are going to kind of wing it. So I'm just trusting, I have faith that you guys are going to come through for us and ask a lot of great questions, share some success stories. I already see someone that I'm going to call on and put on the spot. I'll let that person guess who they're going to be. No, I really appreciate everybody being here. If this is your very first time, if you're here with us live on Zoom, what we want you guys to do, no matter how new or experienced you are, go down to the bottom of your screen and click the reactions button on Zoom. Okay, so if you go down to the bottom of your screen and click reactions, it's going to give you the opportunity to raise your hand. You raise your hand, we are going to call on you. You're going to get some live coaching from the coaches here. We're going to be able to kind of work you guys through best practices. You're going to be able to ask questions. Again, it doesn't matter how basic those questions are. If you're brand new and just getting started in the probate niche, if you are very experienced and you're trying to structure a deal with multiple complex situations going on, we're here to coach you through those things as long as we can. At least we can point a lot of you guys in the right direction. I really want to hear those of you that have a success story or a win this week. So if you have signed a deal, you've closed something, you've set an appointment up, you've made some prospecting calls and gotten some great conversations, whatever that is, we want to hear from you. If you're watching on live stream, so we're streaming on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're watching on stream and you're not here with us live on Zoom, go ahead and chat your question into the chat underneath of that stream. It's going to come over to us. Coaches will be able to answer those questions for you. This call is for you guys. So just in case anyone is here listening live or listening after the fact on podcast or YouTube, and you don't know who we are, this is hosted by All the Leads. We provide probate, divorce, pre-probate leads and systems for you to be able to work those leads inside of your business. So if you're an investor, an estate sale company, a real estate agent, and you want to kind of work the life transition type of lead, I want you guys to go check us out on alltheleads.com. Check your county prices out. We have complete systems that you guys can follow as well. We don't just give you a spreadsheet and say good luck. We give you your leads and give you the systems to be able to work it, including mail, including website, including all the training you need on how to prospect those leads. So yesterday we had a probate foundations class. That's something that we teach once every month. We're looking to expand that here in the very, very near future. So if you haven't been to Probate Foundations, get signed up for the next Probate Foundations class. It's a 2.5 hour class. Goes pretty deep into how you need to set your business up and prospect this type of lead niche for your business. So with that said, I want to turn it over. I see Tim has joined us. Thank you, Tim. Turn it over to Tim and Jim, see if you guys have anything, and then I'll go to some questions and I'll put a few people on the spot. Tim, you're on mute if you're saying something.
I had unmuted already. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, I joined just a wee bit late. Did you bother to note the fact that Jim had a big birthday yesterday?
No, I didn't. I'm bad about birthdays, but guess what? Jim did have a big birthday.
Jimmy?
You want it all.
Another big decade. Good job there, boy.
Yep, another decade hits the books. So
are you 50 now or 90 now? Which one?
More or less. I asked my granddaughter if she can believe I was 45, and she said, "You don't look a day over 25." So she's a politician already.
He was already holding his wallet when that happened.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I don't know. Thank you, guys.
What's that, Tim?
I don't have anything else. Jim, what about you, man?
No, we're good. I do not have an interview this week, which is unusual, but I see we got some chats coming in already. We're always looking for success stories. We've had some incredible ones the last couple of weeks. And some of those people that are doing that are having the success, we're going to involve them more and more in the future, but we'll save that for the future. I've got nothing else today. Then we got a hand raised.
So I want to, yes, Casey, thank you for raising your hand. And before I call on Casey, I'm going to go ahead and challenge those of you that are here on Zoom. Raise your hand. You can chat your questions in. Listen, I get it. If you're a little bit shy, or you're in the car, or you're doing something where it's just better to chat that question in. But I'd love to see you guys. Love to hear you vocalize those questions. So raise your hand. And of course, if you're on live stream, you have to chat your question in. We'll answer anything that you guys send in writing as well. Let me go ahead and go to Casey. Casey, if you would, go ahead and unmute yourself. How are you doing?
Oh, I got it. Good. So I was just going to give a win. If now's the right time for that.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Always the right time.
So this one is pretty huge. Actually, it's the biggest profit I've ever made, and it came through all the leads. So I was sending out mailers, and they got my brochure. Now, Dad had actually passed away, which is why they opened up Probate last summer. Now, they've already taken care of Dad. He's been buttoned up, no issues there. But Mom, who was living in the property, is now going to assisted living, and now the home is vacant, and the family doesn't live in the area. So it's, a whole house full of stuff, which is how I market myself. I'll come in, I'll clean out, I'll do small repairs, get the home sold. So they called me in for that because I never stopped sending them stuff. And yeah, so we got it. So it's actually a Novation, right? So I got them under contract for one price. And I told them I feel like the safe bet is going to be around $320. I don't think it's going to sell for anything less than that. But if it sells for more than that, well, then we can split, anything over that 50-50. So they're getting their exact price that we agreed to up front. And then anything additional over $320,000, we would split that. So anyway, I had it in coming soon status. And before it even went active, I had 3 sight unseen offers, 2 of which were all cash. One of the all cash offers was $10,000 over my asking price. So all in, I should be getting a gross payout of about $53,000 from that one lead. Yeah, thank you. It's
Wow.
the biggest profit I've ever received.
Wow, that's incredible. All right, everybody, listen, be unique in how you structure your deals with your clients. This is just a perfect example. Casey, have you ever done anything like this on a listing before?
Yeah, so I do novations. It's kind of my niche. I'll come out, I'll clean the house out, I'll do a home inspection, I'll do small repairs. If like an appraiser red flags anything, I'll take care of that. Kind of making it completely hassle-free to the seller. Yeah, so I have done that in the past, but nothing quite this large of a payout before.
Nothing to the tune of half of what most people make in a year. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Casey, I'm curious, in that situation, were you acting as a realtor, an investor, or both? Which hat did you have on for this deal?
Oh, both. I always have both hats on. So I get it under contract as an investor, and I let them know, but I am going to be marketing it. So I get, so I'm in Pennsylvania, and instead of having the fiduciary responsibility to the seller, I'm actually acting as the transaction coordinator, not as their real estate agent. My attorney felt that would be the best way to protect my brokerage in case anything hairy happened. I don't have that fiduciary responsibility as their realtor.
Perfect.
Yep. I mean,
How much of that, I'm assuming the things that you do on a typical deal in this deal, in most cases, the seller ends up more than they would have if you had not come in and made the improvements, or it sells quicker, or both?
Both, yeah, both definitely. So number one, in this instant, the family is out of state. They're not going to come up here to clean the entire house out. I mean, their mom has been in here since the 70s, so it's literally a lifetime of belongings, furniture, books, dishes, pots, pans, like clothes galore, everything. So they're not going to, and what would they even do with it, right? Like, are we going to have a yard sale? Are we going to donate stuff? Where does it go? So that's where I come in with that. And then, of course, I do a home inspection. So I pay for all of that myself. And I put it on the MLS, the home inspection. That way buyers can look at it and see, hey, here are some concerns that the home inspector already put out. And I think having that inspection report already uploaded is a huge, it just goes faster because it ensures people like this is a solid house. And even if it's not a solid house and there are some things that get called out, like they already know up front, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Casey, do you do 50-50 on personal property as well, or is it specifically on the real property?
Specifically on the real property, if I do sell the personal property, which in most cases, I really just want to get it out of the house. I'm not too concerned with getting money for it. But in those cases, I'll say if anything does sell, that will go towards the cost of the clean out. But if the seller is pretty adamant and they're like, no, I want some of those proceeds, then, everything's up for negotiation. So I would work with them in that case if that's what they wanted.
Yep. So Casey, I've got a question, and of course, this is going to be a different state. So this is New Jersey, and since Pennsylvania kind of borders Jersey a little bit, you may be able to answer this. But this individual's in Jersey. They said, okay, so if you're setting your fiduciary duties aside, this person's wondering if New Jersey might be the same. Also, do you have a contracting company that you either work with or own? Do you make the repairs? And if you're making the repairs, are you doing that yourself with a contractor, or are you the contractor? It's a lot of questions there. Hopefully that's clear.
Yeah, I am not a contractor, nor should I ever have a hammer in my hand. So I coordinate all of the work. Contractors right now are very hard to come by. Typically, they're booked, 6 months out or so, depending on what the project is. So I do have a couple handymen that I reach out to, and it's just who's available to do the work that I need when it's needed. Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
And I would kind of answer the initial part of that question of, can you do this in New Jersey as a licensed real estate agent? And my answer to a person that's asking that question, really whatever state you're in, is go please talk to your attorney, your real estate attorney, specifically if they have a hand in real estate litigation as well. They're going to be able to help steer you on how to properly set that up. I've done novations before, and I will tell you that as a licensed agent, you just want to make sure that your attorney really reviews and signs off on how you structure that deal. You don't want to put yourself in hot water if your state doesn't like that type of deal for their licensed agents. But obviously, Casey has done that homework and talked about the proper structure with her attorney. How much work did you put into figuring out how to structure novation deals?
Not much, actually. So I'm in South Central Pennsylvania, and it's actually home to, he's known as the Novation King, Eric Brewer, if you've ever heard that name. But he has been doing this for 18 years or so. And so I have learned from what he's done, and we even have the same attorney. So there was a lot of documentation that was already created specifically for him that just kind of got rolled over to me.
Great.
Plug and play. Yeah.
How did you get the business? Did it come from phone prospecting, direct mail, attorney referral? What happened?
So my lead sources, is that what you're talking about?
How do you get this particular client?
Through all the leads. Yep. I sent
Did you call, or was it mail?
mail, direct mail.
Wonderful.
Yep. Yeah. And she had, so one of the pieces of mail that I sent had a brochure through all the leads. And that is what she had on the kitchen table when I went to meet, was that brochure.
Amazing. And if you guys want to see the brochures, go chat with your marketing implementation specialist, or go on alltheleads.com and use the little chat icon in the bottom right, and we can show you the brochures that we send out. Excellent. All
Awesome.
right.
And I see a question about a double close in the chat. So with novations, I never take title. So the seller is always on title. I'm just the middleman.
Perfect. Thank you, Casey. Hang out here if you can. I guarantee some of these questions that come in are going to be directed at you. So if you're busy, you can jump out. But if you want to stay for a bit and answer any questions that might come up, you are welcome to do so.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Casey. Great win. Great win. I love it. Let's go to Lily. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good morning. I don't have a successful story, so rather a question. I have my client text me last night and requesting a home value report or BPO upon the death of her mom. So she was told by her probate attorney that I should do this report, but my reply to her was that I didn't even know her and not be hired by executors until March this year, but the death was December 14, 2022, last year. I did BPO anyway for her. But my question is this her probate attorney supposed to do at the time of filing the probate in court? And I think that her attorney just, I don't see that, push the buck to me being blamed. Can anybody comment on that, whose responsibility is, and what would be my appropriate response to my client? And, my client is under influence by the probate attorney that it is my fault.
Got it. So it's already your client.
Yes.
The responsibility for providing an evaluation, like a broker price opinion or an appraisal, is the client's responsibility. It's not yours unless you take that responsibility. Now, I like to take the responsibility. Not every single client is going to need a broker price opinion, but many of them will. So it's something that I like to provide as a courtesy to the clients, especially if I know that they may be required to turn a BPO into the court. So it's not your fault that it didn't get done. That's not something that you would normally be asked to do. It's also not something that the attorney is necessarily responsible for. The attorney is responsible for getting her through the legal process. And if part of that is ordering a BPO or an appraisal, then the attorney should bring that up and ask the client if they want him or her to handle that. The fact that it fell to you is totally normal, but it certainly wasn't your fault that it wasn't done, not even close. And I would have just said, "Hey, that's wonderful. I hadn't heard that you needed a BPO from your attorney, but I'm happy to provide one. What's your attorney's name and number? And I'll go ahead and call them and coordinate that." And then that way you're being very polite. You're not saying, no, your attorney doesn't know what they're doing. You're being polite. You're providing what's needed, while also not saying, "Hey, I'm not supposed to do this." Because even though you're not supposed to be the one that coordinates that, it's still something that's in your power to deliver. So I would have gone ahead and done the BPO as well.
Yeah, actually, this was brought up by her attorney, and because she had a consult with her attorney that, what's about capital gains, so her attorney referred her to the CPA, estate planning or whoever. So they brought up this and they said, what's the value upon the debt? And that's got there at the end. And so they said, oh, we didn't have that. But my question was, I look at a doc filing, and on the property in California, there's like a number 6, a net value of the real property. There was a number, put it in there. So I look at that and I saw someone did it. Otherwise, who is coming up that number on the order of filing? So when they file that number, my understanding is that number, it'll becomes a reference in a public. So that really, to me, they already established the answer to the question themselves when they file. That was in December.
It's primarily used to establish the step-up basis for capital gains, typically. So it's by the way, this is a great offer to be able to offer people that aren't your clients yet. Because many times there are folks that you're going to deal with that don't know what they're going to do with the real estate yet, or maybe they do know that they're going to sell, but they're not ready to deal with it right now. And many times the court is going to need the value of the property. And so being able to provide that evaluation for them in a short BPO, many times is going to satisfy a need that they already have. And it's something that I would probably think about offering for free in order to get that relationship started, and then win the business on the back end.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Lily. Anything else? Nope.
I know it.
All right. So searching for oldies. Okay, that's a pretty cool YouTube name. Says, I've always wondered, you've always thought that probates might be difficult. You figured there would be a lot of interaction with the attorney. Not necessarily. There can be a lot of interaction with attorneys, but a lot of times attorneys are doing their legal thing on the back end, their paperwork, they're moving things through. On the real estate side, most probates are relatively traditional. We do the normal real estate thing that you're going to do on any other listing or purchase agreement, with the exception of if you want to stand apart, you're going to offer to coordinate certain things for people. So they're not living in the house in many cases. They're going to have a house full of stuff that needs to be cleaned out, maybe an estate sale, maybe someone has to cut the grass, change the locks. A lot of these extra things that don't touch the legal aspect of probate, they just are a burden on the family. And so if you do anything different on a probate deal from what you would do on a regular deal, it's typically going to be that concierge level of service. It's not going to be the legal side of it that you are asked to be involved with heavily. The attorney is normally handling that. Now, I highly advise you to have a good real estate or probate attorney, or 2 or 3 that you have a good relationship with, that you can call with those questions and those have that interaction with them. But a lot of times it's not necessarily going to be the attorney that the family has already hired. You used your mutual relationship with a PR or family member to build the attorney relationship, but they're not going to ask you to be involved in the legal aspects very often. Right? Hopefully that helps that. And then also, same person had asked, and this probably is a little bit more for Casey, but I can answer it. Is a novation sort of like an assignment? And yes, a novation is like an assignment. It's very much like a wholesale deal. There's some small differences. And Casey, I don't know if you want to unmute yourself and share your experience on what those differences may be. And I'm just going to ask you to unmute yourself if you have any input into that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
How it would be different from a regular wholesale assignment.
Yeah. So in a wholesale assignment is exactly what it sounds like. You got a property under contract and you're assigning it to somebody else to be the buyer. The problem with an assigned contract is it's not lendable. So you are going to be handcuffed to only having a cash buyer. With a novation, you get it under contract. I will buy your property for a very specific amount, but then you have a novation agreement. Novation is a Latin term that means in place of. So once I have an end buyer, I will drop my original agreement with the novation agreement, clouding title, so they can't sell it without me. And then they'll pick up the new contract. So it's an A to B contract. It's no longer assigned. So now you can get financing for it. So you open up your buyer pool from only cash buyers to everybody that's on the MLS.
So a novation, you're not assigning the paper. They're actually signing their own brand new contract, and the novation agreement secures your money, basically.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully that helps for those of you. Novations are something that aren't talked about a whole lot in the real estate industry. I mean, there are certainly people that are novation kings, but it's something that a lot of people don't have a lot of insight into. So it's really good. Go take a look at that. In case Carmen had asked, do you have an attorney draft your novation agreement?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Now, there's other ways to do it. If you are a licensed agent, you can put it in as your fee, as your commission. So if you're talking to your seller and you say, okay, they want no less than 250,000, you say, okay, if I sell more than that, are you okay if I keep the difference? So you can do that within your listing agreement as well. But it's just a lot more defined if you do have an attorney write everything up. That way there's no questions as to how you get paid. Yeah.
And Casey, I assume when you sign a novation agreement that a part of that gives you the authorization to market the house in the MLS and market it in all your channels, correct?
Well, that's a separate agreement. That's the listing agreement. But I do the listing agreement as just a transactional agent, not as a fiduciary agent. Yeah.
Understand. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you again, Casey. And hang with us. We'll see if anything else comes back to you. I want to go to Belinda. Belinda, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So I'm a realtor as well, but I'm familiar with novations. I'm familiar with wholesaling and then of course listing houses and things like that. So two questions. The first one was, what is your conversation like when you go out on an appointment in terms of bringing the novation concept into view with the client as an option? And then also this last comment you made where you said you actually can use your realtor documentation to have in the wording that, if you made over X amount of dollars, we'll go 50-50. When you do that, does the brokerage also get a part of that 50-50, or I guess 25% or whatever the breakout is? Does the brokerage get part of that that's over and above, or is that something between you and then the seller, the split?
Mm-hmm. So I missed the first half of the question, but for the second half, I do not pay myself a commission when I'm doing a novation. So I guess how to structure it, the seller wants X. So I'm going to use real numbers here. So this very specific one, I got it under contract for $269,700. And I told them I believe it will sell for no less than $320,000. If it goes anything, if we sell it for more than $320,000, that's what we'll split 50-50. In this case, it sold for $350,000. So that $30,000 in addition gets paid to them. Now I'm using my LLC for these funds, and all of the closing costs in Pennsylvania, each side pays 1% transfer tax. That, and I offer the buyer's agent 2.5% commission. All of that comes out of my proceeds, not the seller's proceeds. So they get 100% of that $269,700 plus an additional $15,000 because of the 50-50 split. So because I'm not paying myself a commission, because that's kind of, my attorney didn't like the idea of me like paying myself twice. The only thing I pay to my brokerage is they ask for like $300 or $320 per transaction. And that, again, also comes out of my proceeds, not the seller's proceeds. So that's all my brokerage gets is the $300 they want per transaction.
And then the first part of my question was going out and talking to your clients. How do you broach the topic? How do you lead into a conversation where you're offering this novation as an option versus say just listing your property and doing the best you can on the market? Particularly because you're talking about, okay, if you sell above that, okay, we're going to split it, sort of thing. How do you broach in that conversation?
No, that's a good question. So the first thing for me going out on an appointment is they have a house that they need to sell. So that's what I know right off the bat. Then my goal at the appointment is to determine what their pain points are, what's going on. In this case, the family doesn't live in the area and they have no way of coming up to clean the entire house out. That's their pain point. So when I market, I kind of look at every single appointment as being an investor and an agent. So I always start at the bottom and work my way up. So first I say, okay, I've got several different programs available. One is a cash out program where you would sell it as is as quickly as possible. For that, I'm going to give them a wholesale price. If they come at me and they're like, nope, that's way too low, we want more than that. Okay, great. Well, I can increase the terms a little bit to increase the purchase price. So that brings me up to doing a novation. If that's still too low for them, that's totally fine. We can go on the open market. But if we go on the open market, you're going to be in charge of cleaning out the property. And if there's any repairs that need done from appraisals, that's going to be on you to do. So most people, when I come at it with that approach, will choose a novation because it's the middle of the ground. It's a higher purchase price than what it would be if it was wholesale, but they still are hands off.
Okay. So really that third option at the top is, as a realtor, I mean, they're not responsible for all that other stuff.
Right, along with paying the closing costs and commissions. Yeah.
Do you ever list out what all those other things might look like, Casey?
I do. I actually have a flyer that my marketing manager created for me. It kind of looks like a menu, and it has the quote unquote programs available, and it goes through like, who's it good for? Is your property in good, fair, poor, or excellent condition? So going across the gamut of what that is, and who's going to be in charge of repairs depending on which program you choose, who pays the commissions depending on what program you choose. Yeah. So I always bring that to all of my appointments, and sometimes I even mail it out. If I can't get a hold of people over the phone, I'll mail that menu of options out.
Do you put a cap on the work that you're going to do, the rehab?
I do. So I don't really want to spend, if it's a novation, I don't want to spend any more than $5,000 total. So that's including the home inspection, which in my area, that's typically about $350 to $400. Small repairs, and of course the clean out itself, which for the ones that I do, that's the bulk of the cost is the clean out.
Right. You're not going in and you're not working on plumbing, changing out toilets and things like that.
Oh no, I'm not doing a rehab at all. I think there's a lot of risk involved if you're investing too much of your own money before you have title or without taking title. So no, I don't want to spend any more than $5,000 total.
You're doing cosmetics.
I am doing what's absolutely necessary to sell the house.
Gotcha.
One thing I feel, this is so obvious, I probably don't need to mention it, but I will just to be safe. We said, obviously, check with your attorney. This model works exceptionally well if you're on 100% split, if you're paying a desk fee or you're paying a broker, a few $100s per deal. It may not work as well in a traditional office. I mean, it could, but in any case, discuss it with your broker, especially if you're on a 60-40 or a 70-30 split. You don't want you to think your broker to think you're being devious to get around paying him a percentage. And so,
Right.
I could just see that being a problem for people that are in a traditional model. But this is brilliant, and it's in keeping with the way the market's moving. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and it's something I had never heard of before. You're giving that seller one extra option, and people love to buy. They hate to be sold. They like options. They don't like to be told what to do. So I think it's great. Great job.
Thank you.
For the experts in the field of novation, I know she mentioned one person, and of course I can always go to YouTube, but everybody claims to be an expert. She mentioned the person that she dealt with has been in it for 18 years. So this certain kind of come up to speed on some of the ins and outs of novations generally.
So, Belinda, I'm gonna summarize what you just said, and then I'm gonna ask you to move just a little closer to your mic because you're kind of muffled. So basically, Belinda was just asking who are some of the experts that are out there on novations and how to find those so that she can come up to speed a little bit faster on novations. And Casey, I'll turn it over to you, but I want to tell you guys that YouTube is the expert. There are a lot of people that teach this stuff on YouTube. If you want to know anything, that's your encyclopedia and dictionary and everything else that you need. But Casey, go ahead. If you have some folks that you want to direct people to, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. And David posted a link in the chat to the Brewer Method, which is Eric Brewer's School of Novations. Now, he is a local legend here where I am. I don't know if he's a national legend or not, but everybody around here knows who he is. Pace Moby also has several videos on YouTube that review novations and different ways to accommodate the same end result. Those are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head, but 100% if you just plug it into YouTube, I'm sure you'll get a million different videos that can explain it in more detail.
That's the problem with YouTube and some of these other sites. Everybody's claiming to be an expert, and if you don't really know what you don't know, you have to tell it somebody's not giving you the correct information. But yeah, I get it.
Hey, Belinda, one thing she mentioned, Pace Morby is a long-term client of ours. I didn't even know he did this. So you can probably find him in our mastermind group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with Pace Morby. I have one or two of his courses. Okay, great. Fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you, Belinda. All right. Casey, thank you again so much. I am not kicking you to the side. Matter of fact, we don't have any questions right now. So I'm going to remind everyone that we're here for another 20 minutes to answer your questions, to hear your success stories. While we're waiting, I want to go to a buddy of mine that I haven't heard from for a while, who actually just asked me earlier this week when I was moving back to Dallas. And I was like, I wasn't aware that I have been living in Dallas, but let me go to my buddy David Pennell. How's business been?
It's been amazing so far this year. So not so much in the probate space, but all the other distressed type of real estate. So we've had a good time. I think we're close to 25 deals closed in the first quarter. So
nice. And how many of those are traditional versus wholesale, novation, that kind of thing? How's your ratio looking?
3 listings as a regular brokerage. The rest are all distressed properties, either on the compliance list or probate, or we got one foreclosure. We saved one veteran from losing his property. And we actually gave him an extra $21,000 at closing because we sold it for so much as a wholesale. So it worked out good.
Amazing.
And we just got him placed into a retirement home this week too. So it was a pretty good situation.
Good stuff, man.
But I love this Novation stuff. You just got to protect your assets. So it works beautifully if you do the paperwork correctly. And we spent more than the $5,000 to help people fix up a house with no paperwork, and it's worked out. But I need to learn more about this too.
What's the most you've spent on a Novation deal?
31,000.
Okay. How much did you make?
31.
You made 31? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I paid the difference that they owed because they're going to foreclosure. So we got to remove from the foreclosure list. It needed lots of work. So then we just split. I took less than half, but I ended up making, I think, close to 40, I think. It was a good deal. And they love it.
Awesome. I've done this on the listing side before, and Casey's made me think about this. So on the listing side, I've gone in and fixed things up, and I've paid for staging and different things like that. And I've set a minimum expected sale price, and we've signed a listing agreement at X percent. I don't even remember what percentage I signed the listing agreement at, with the understanding that if I was able to get more than the listing price, that the additional, you don't want to do all the additional coming to you. That's a net listing, and that's illegal. So, but the additional is split at a different percentage. And so you guys can do this on the listing side as well. Hearing Kitsen's story there has got me thinking about doing novations instead of listings this way. But you can structure your listings all sorts of different ways. If you are new-ish or with a broker that is a little bit more traditional, you're going to check with your broker and make sure that you're able to do these things. But get creative, guys. That's where you're going to differentiate yourself. If everyone that you may be competing against walks in there and says, "Hey, I'm gonna put your house in the MLS and put a sign in the yard, pray that it sells, and I'm gonna do it at 6%," You need to be able to offer different options to people when all your competitors are kind of offering that 3P approach. Put a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, pray, and at 6%. Offer different things. You just have to get a loan in your head for a little bit and think about what are those unique solutions that I can offer and unique deal types that I can offer. And if you
And these are great when the wholesaler or somebody goes and anchors the price too high as well. So you never want to compete against someone else's offer, but if you ask the right qualifying questions on the appointment or before the appointment, you're gonna understand where they are in their head anyways, and understand what position to put yourself into on that appointment. So I love it. I mean, we actually just screwed up on one that I wish I would have done Novation on. It was a house that was inherited to the neighbor, and the highest offer they had was 165. The more I got to know them, they didn't like that offer because the lady was rude to them, so they were gonna take a 151 offer, and I was like, man, 150 seems high. I put on MLS and I sold for 223.
Wow.
Didn't do any work to it. Just put on MLS for him, and I could have totally done a Novation on it. Man, but so make it 39.
One thing you said there is so important is ask the right questions. If you ask the right questions to the seller, figure out what's best for the seller. If you've got, it'll almost always be good for you too, but doing what's best for the seller gets you the business, and asking the right questions and finding out, not everybody wants the most amount of money. Some people want out of it. Some people do want more money, but find out what's best for them, help them accomplish what they're looking to accomplish, and it's going to be best for you in the long run for sure.
It's not always the repairs that you need to make too. It's maybe paying for the probate itself, doing an agreement in place and doing the probate. I'm about to do one. I was going to meet the lady at 1:00 today. I would have just paid the $2,500 to file the probate, and then we're locked in on that one as agreement as a price. So
Perfect.
Once you start making capital, it's you start using it to make more money, obviously.
Absolutely. Well, David, thanks. Unfortunately, I'm not moving back to DFW.
Yeah,
Since I never lived there to begin with.
It was actually Bruce Wagner. I was like, dang, I had your name screwed up. So I was texting Bruce when he was moving back to Texas. But if you guys ever have a referral to Texas, let me know about it.
Hey, Bruce, I don't see any other questions. I do see a chat that I can answer. It's right in my backyard. Justin is asking, what's the highest amount of probate leads that can be channeled and protected inside of Broward, Palm Beach, and Orange County? I'm not sure we can channel or protect anything. Anybody has access to these leads, but I can tell you that all three of those counties get 300-400 leads a month or more. Those are monster counties where we can get a ton of leads. I think Broward County averages about 350. It's not unusual in Palm Beach County to see 500, and I think Orange County is about comparable. So there's a ton of opportunity there.
And the clarification was he meant prospected, not protected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good old autocorrect.
That makes a lot more sense.
Prospected, man. We have people that are prospecting thousands and thousands of leads with ISAs and call centers and different things like that. I find that if you're going to do it full time, I would probably go after maybe 1,000 leads if you're going to be on the phone just yourself as one individual all day. And that's going to be slow. If you want to use a power dialer, you can get up to where you can get through 1,000 leads really, really fast. But doing a click to call or manual dialer, about 1,000 leads and calling everyone 4 times a month is good. And that's you're busting your butt. Your job is prospecting at that point. If it's just you, no one else, and you want to put an hour a day in, I would say 300-400 leads. An hour a day might be a little bit light for 300 or 400 leads. You might want to do 2 hours a day, but you could effectively prospect 300 or 400 leads with a few hours a day as well. All right. There's a lot of different ways, man. We have people, Tim, I don't know what our biggest subscriber might be going after, 15 or 20,000 leads a month, something like that. And they've got callers on them to help identify. And then they have high level people that take the warm leads and work those warm leads exclusively, but they'll have lower level people work the cold leads that have never engaged in a conversation, and they just burn through calls and try to identify who's open to a talk. And once that person's open to a talk, then it moves upstream to the person that's the closer, or the person that is maybe the business owner that's going to go sign the deals.
I think it depends a lot on the market. We have people in different markets doing different things with great success, and what works in one market probably would work just as well in another market, doing it a different way. It just depends. We've got people who do nothing but mail and take inbounds, and they'll just bang it out, and they'll do 4 or 5 in a 2 or 3 week period, and they throw enough money at it and the dollars flow out the bottom. I mean, it's a matter of face and repetition. And other people do it different ways and make money in different markets. Some people just do calls only. If it's a small market, they call everybody. So it just depends. It's all a matter of, try what you can to, throw things there, make it work. You got a bunch of hands in the air, though.
Yeah, I do have some hands in the air, guys. There is, I often say there's no magic formula to make this work. I'm going to clarify that and say that there is a magic formula. There are about 10 magic formulas to make it work. And the trick is just pick one and run with it. You don't have to worry about all the thousands of other ways that you could possibly do it. You pick one and you run with it, and then you tweak and adjust. Once you've started in a direction, you tweak and adjust. The things that don't seem to be working so well, you make minor little adjustments to it. The trick is just get started. Just get started. The people that fail normally fail because they don't get started. And I'm going to say 99% of those that don't succeed in this space, it's because they haven't gotten started, or they just haven't given it long enough, because it does take some time to fill that pipeline up. There are times when you'll run dry for a few months and then things pop for you for a few months. I see that happen a lot. But consistency and starting is 99% of the battle. And if you can just get started, get something out the door, get on the phone, and stay consistent with it for long enough, you'll see success. So I want to go to my friend Douglas. Douglas, a couple of weeks ago, Douglas was applauding. I kept seeing this clapping come up on Zoom, and I had no idea that he was trying to chime in with a question. Your hand is up, Douglas. Thank you, and you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. That was very embarrassing, Bruce.
Hey, leave
there
it
was
to me.
be right for being dyslexic. A clap looks like a handshake to me, or a hand raise to me. So yes, I'm excited about this Novation, and I've been looking into it for some time, and I've got a perfect client for it. And I mentioned to you her before, and I've been nursing her for about 4 months, and she's ready to start making a move. She's got a beautiful portfolio, and there's an apartment building and probably the best fixer I've ever seen in Bellevue. And Casey, I wanted to ask you, can I learn the menu services that you offer on YouTube? Or do you have any advice on how I can learn them? In other words, would you be willing to share?
Yeah. So the menu options that I have are pretty much all of the different ways you would buy a property as an investor. So starting from left to right on my menu of options, I have and these I market as my quote unquote programs. So I have my cash out program. That's going to be a wholesale. I have my loan assumption program. That's really great. Well, how I market it to people is that's really great for people that are behind on their payments or have little to no equity, or want to improve their credit. I can take over your loan for you. The equity protection program, that's a Novation. Owner finance program, that's really good for people that own their property free and clear and want to be able to defer their taxes. And then finally, I have the open market. So the most you could possibly get for your property is going to be market value. And in order to get market value, you have to go on the open market. The only difference with that program versus everything else is that any realtor commissions, closing cost, and repairs would come out of your proceeds as opposed to the other programs where we would take care of all that for you.
Okay, could you please repeat number 4?
Owner finance?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
So for
there-
loan assumption and owner finance, one of my goals is to have passive income. So for both of those, I would get it ensure that the rent that I would be collecting, because they would end up being rentals for me, the rent would have to be higher than what those monthly payments are going to be, obviously. So just a caveat on those two, loan assumption and owner finance.
okay, and so I can become solid and confident in what I'm saying. Do you have any resources for learning this, or any place I could go to learn this? You know, you mentioned YouTube.
Oh yeah, so the University of YouTube, that's amazing for real estate investors on all sides. Yeah, if you just plug in creative financing, you would get a ton of information on doing loan assumptions. That's subject to, or owner financing. I mean,
Okay.
Did you
Yeah.
go through a particular paid program, Casey, or did you learn organically?
there was something years ago. It was a free thing online for subject to, and I don't remember what it was. I'll see if I can dig it up, and I'll get it to you later, Bruce, if I can find it.
Okay. And if you do, I'd say maybe just put it on the All the Leads Mastermind group on Facebook. And you can send
Okay.
it to me as well. I'm curious also. Yeah.
Any of
Okay,
those
perfect.
terms that you want to go research, whether it's just Novation, subject to wholesale real estate, there's a wealth of information just
Yeah.
straight out of Google. Get the definition side of it clear in your head in terms of what it is you're looking to offer, and then fleshing it out in terms of exactly how the Novation works and all that. Those are the more complex aspects. But I mean, the basic menu is relatively simple. He just gave you a master's level course.
Okay.
And guys, I'm gonna add a caveat to what I'm about to show you guys. This is just for ideas only. If you were listening on podcast, this might be something that that you're gonna have to verbally piece together the pieces. So the caveat is my schedule. Obviously, I do coaching of our subscribers. I'm currently down some coaches, and I don't have the schedule if everyone floods my calendar. So I'm just going to ask you guys not to flood my calendar asking me to show this to you. But I'm going to show you the basics of how I present options when I go into my appointments. And I'm just going to share my screen real quick. So I do it on a letter of intent that looks like this. Hopefully everyone can see it. If you're on podcasts, I apologize, guys, but I'm laying out a letter of intent. Instead of taking a stack of 42 different types of contracts that I might sign with them, I'm usually just going to take a couple of pages. In the letter of intent, there is no novation option on here. If you guys want to do novations, please just add novations, a novation section to your letter of intent. But basically, I come in with purchase terms. So I've got a little checkbox that says it is or is not applicable. So if I'm going to buy the house, I give them the terms of my purchase, and I have 7 different terms. So I hit the purchase price and the date that I expect we will close. I hit whether there's inspection periods and deposits and things like that. I have a checkbox on this that says it is or it's not subject to owner financing. So this is really important. When I'm purchasing a house, I always give them an option where I can just buy it, or an option where I can do owner financing. So beyond the purchase terms, then I'll move down to an option of a traditional Bruce Hill Group listing. Okay, and I'll lay out 4 different terms. So which plan do you want? What can you expect your net to be? And how soon do you think you can close? So I've got a listing option, and then I have an equity partnership option. If they end up selecting that I buy the house and want to owner finance, then I have an appendix for owner financing terms that includes the balloon term, how much interest they're going to make, and how much money they're going to make over the term of that up until the balloon payment is due. So that's how I present things, and based on what they tell me, then I'll go back and work on my paperwork after they've agreed to one of these three options, either equity, traditional listing, or a cash purchase. And remember, the cash purchase also has an option for owner financing. So we could choose it to be cash or wholesale or owner financing. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that, since Casey, you were getting peppered with questions on your menu. Okay,
Thank you.
absolutely. Anything else, Douglas?
No, it's exciting. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I saw another hand up, and I don't see it now. I'm just going to take a look at chat, see if there's anything else.
Kathleen had her hand up. Kathleen, we have time for one more if you want to raise it again.
While I'm seeing if Kathleen has a question, I want to go to Al. Al says that you're new, and you're a real estate broker and wholesaler. 95% of the offers that you make through agents are probates. So you said to yourself, why not give probate to try directly? You need a fast track system. So you're 25 years in, fast track system, really easy. Fast track system through all the leads. Once a month, you will get your leads. They will come with the decedent's information, the personal representative information, including addresses and contact information. Also a list of 2 to 3 additional heirs if you're getting leads through all the leads. You can get a probate credibility website so that people that see your name, get your phone calls, see your letters, they can go check you out online and see that you actually do probate deals and help with probate. And then we can also set up very easily, put on autopilot for you a sequence of mail that goes out to each one of your leads. That's as fast track as you get. And if you take that fast track, the last step is to pick the phone up and make your calls. Without calls, mail absolutely works, but the combination of these two things is magic for people that do it. So it's as simple as that. And really, aside from the calls, all the leads can pretty much do everything for you. Hopefully that helps out. And Kathleen's hand is back up. Let's go to Kathleen. We're going to close out with Kathleen. Thanks for coming back in.
Yes. I was just wondering, when you have your county does not have that many leads, are you selling the leads to a lot of different agents, or once you only have a certain number of agents to sell the leads to in a territory?
So we being all the leads, will cap the number of subscribers in a county. I will tell you that there are people that may go to the courthouse or may find leads somewhere else. So I really wouldn't personally worry a whole lot about who has the leads. And here's the reason why. I don't see anyone's image on here now, but I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. There are 3 or 4 other agents that I work with really closely on building a probate niche in my county with the same leads that I have access to. And they all do business, all of us. And there are also people that I've taught the business to in my location that didn't do any business because they didn't do anything. And I'm going to tell you that about 90 plus or easily 90% of the agents and investors in any area that think about probate, they will not do the work. They won't get started, or they won't stick with it long enough to see predictable results. So that's the only thing. Recognize not who your competition is or whether other people have the leads, but recognize whether they have the leads and will do what it takes to succeed. And what it takes to succeed is making sure that you're in front of your prospects for 5 to 6 or 7 months, period. If you're in front of your prospects for 5, 6, 7 months, you're going to get business out of list, no matter who else is also in front of the prospect for 5 or 6 or 7 months. About 50% of these leads, give or take, are going to sell real estate. Okay. All you need is 5 or 10% of those to be really successful. Somebody else can get their own 5 or 10% of those. Most people are going to get in 2 months later. They're going to go, I haven't made any calls yet. I haven't sent any letters out yet. I'm leaving. And that's the vast majority of anyone that might compete with you. They just won't take any action. So I'm never worried about 2 or 3 people that might be competing with me in a county, even if it's a smaller county. And I'll also add on to that, if you're in a smaller county, the odds are you're normally one of the only people that's going after it, typically.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you start getting into counties with 100+ leads, now you might have 2 or 3 other people that are doing a good job with those lead sources, and 5 or 6 people more that are fly by night. They're in this month, they're out next month, and they don't even muddy the water because they don't do anything.
Bruce, a couple of years ago, we had an agent in New York City that it just blew me away. He said he called a guy, tried him 2 or 3 times, and the guy responded, "Boy, I got a bunch of letters. You're the only one that called me." And I couldn't believe that in New York City. People just figured it was hopeless. But I will tell you, I was an active agent for 30-some, almost 40 years, and I promise you, you have way less competition, way less people calling, way less people mailing than BizBos or expireds or almost any other lead source. So your odds are way better. And one thing Bruce said is the mail does work, but in many counties, it surprises me how many people don't follow the mail up with a phone call. They just send a letter. If they get a response, fine. If not, they move on to the next one. The combination of the two will differentiate you from everybody else. And you can have way less competition with probate than almost anything else you can do.
Way less. And I think it's fitting that Dan McCarthy just chatted in. He said he hears that all the time. Nobody calls. You get someone on the phone. Hey, are you getting, I bet you've gotten some other calls. Nope, hadn't heard from anyone yet. Got 2 or 3 letters. And I'm not worried about the 2 or 3 letters either, guys. I'm not worried about that at all. People don't, oftentimes they don't take today action on mail. They save the mail. And if you're in front of them in their mailbox 4, 5, 6 times, that's where you're going to have an impact in the mail. Phone is going to have an impact pretty quickly, and you'll be one of the only people doing it. Doesn't matter.
One of my original mentors used to say the person that usually gets a business is the first one that contacts them after they're ready. So if you're mailing regular and you're calling ready, chances are you're going to be there when they're ready, and probably nobody else will be. Yep.
Good.
All about impression and being at the right place at the right time.
And we're over on time. Just to clarify back on Al chatted in, he said, so it takes months before getting a deal. What's the typical timeline on probate? You have people that dad passes away today and tomorrow a sign's in the yard. So there are people that will happen. Those are the a lot of times it's emotionless for them. I'm going to tell you that's a relatively low percentage. So it might be 5, 10, 15% of people go fast, really fast. I'm not doing this for the low hanging fruit. I'm doing this for the people that legitimately need help, and they fit the majority of folks that are going to take 4, 5, 6 months before they start making real estate decisions. That's who I do the business for, because that's where most people are. There are absolutely people that you're going to call on day one and they're going to say, come out and sell the house next week. You'll also call people that said, hey, I just put a sign in the yard, or I just signed a contract. So the low-hanging fruit people, there's a lot of competition for those. I'm not here to compete for the low-hanging fruit. I'm here to compete for the people that are mid-tree, that take a little bit of nurturing of that relationship to get to. So if you're looking for low-hanging fruit, I'm just going to say, and Tim, sorry, I'm going to say go find another list. All right. If you're looking for mid-tree fruit that you can build a really good relationship with, probate's amazing.
Yep. All right. I think that brings us to the conclusion of another very successful call. As I always do, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, particularly thank Casey. I've had my real estate license for, hate to admit this, but for 50 years, and I learned something today. I had never heard of Novation. So you can teach old dog new tricks. I think a lot of people learned a lot. You never know what we're going to get on these calls, like Forrest Gump said, and we got something we weren't expecting today. It was great. I want to thank Casey, Linda, everybody who actively participated. I want to challenge each of you. Take one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for being here.